Good morning. It's Jen Taub. Hey, do you like your news served with an extra helping of Crazy Town? Well, then you've come to the right place. Let's go. Today's top news is that a federal appellate court slammed Donald Trump. We're talking about the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Donald Trump was begging, my friends, for a new trial. And they said, no way, no new trial is warranted. And let's be clear, this is the case, one of the cases of the two brought by my friend E. Jean Carroll against Donald Trump. This case was the first one tried, but it is referred to as Carroll 2 because it was the second one brought. This is the case where E. Jean Carroll successfully won a $5 million verdict after the jury unanimously concluded that not only had Donald Trump defamed her, but he had, back in 1996, sexually abused her in that Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. Now, you may say to yourself, why did Donald Trump even think that he was entitled to a new trial? And I've got you on that. I can tell you what his thinking was, as well as why the court said no effing way. But let me first take a sip from the mug my kids got me for Hanukkah. It is a vintage Hello Kitty coffee mug in unusually charming colors. So here's the deal. As you know, this was the case where, in order to prove, and this is not beyond a reasonable doubt, but prove by a preponderance of the evidence, this was a civil trial, that Donald Trump had indeed sexually abused E. Jean Carroll, and that he had defamed her when he said later in 2022, after he was out of office, that it was a lie. Now, here is kind of the bottom line, as you know. When you are bringing a case, a lawsuit, and you need to prove your side of the story to a jury, it helps to bring evidence other than your own testimony. So, of course, E. Jean Carroll testified. But in addition, some of the other evidence is why the fact that some other evidence was introduced is why Donald Trump demanded a new trial, right? And let me just be clear, before he appealed this to the Second Circuit, who came down yesterday with a no effing way, before he did that, he asked the judge for a new trial. That's what you do first. First, he said to the judge, you, judge, messed up by letting in this evidence, and therefore you violated the federal rules of evidence, and I am entitled to a new trial. Well, Judge Kaplan looked at what he had done and not surprisingly decided that he had not messed up and that no new trial was justified. So Donald Trump appealed that decision to the Second Circuit. Now, let's be clear here, and I've got the decision right in front of me. Let's be clear here. There was never going to be a chance that this federal trial judge was going to decide he messed up. But the question you ask, of course, is what were the arguments before the Second Circuit? Why did they decide Donald Trump was not entitled to a new trial? And finally, I think let's just jump at this one. You're probably wondering, does Donald Trump actually have to pay E. Jean Carroll the $5 million? So I'm going to start with the last question and just dispense with that one now before I tell you why he lost his appeal here. Okay, so bottom line is when he lost his original case, when the jury found for E. Jean Carroll, in order to, around the time he appealed, right, he filed an appeal. Now, normally you have to just pay the judgment, even pending appeal. The only way to avoid that is to post bond. So a bond has been posted. Okay, so at the end of the day, so to speak, when this case is finally done and done, you don't need Donald Trump to write a check, right? This bond just gets released and E. Jean Carroll gets paid. But unfortunately, my friends, today is not the day that E. Jean Carroll will get this $5 million. Now, we've got that separate lawsuit, which is a separate issue. This is not the day when E. Jean Carroll will get the $5 million because yesterday's Second Circuit decision is not the end of the road. Donald Trump has several options in terms of next moves. And when he makes his next moves, there will be a stay. This payment will not need to be made. Okay, what are his next moves? And then I'll get to why he lost. His next moves would be to ask for what's called an en banc, E-N, and then another word, B-A-N-C, en banc, or en banc. I'm having speech problems with the Latin today. An en banc review. So what does that mean? Okay, when I told you the Second Circuit Court slammed Donald Trump, what I meant is a panel. When you get an appeal in the federal court, when you go from the trial court to an appellate level, it's only 3 of the judges on the Court of Appeals who hear your case, right? And then typically you might then ask the United States Supreme Court to hear your appeal, right? To do what's called grant certiorari. But there is actually an intermediate step where you can go to the court and ask the entire bench, the entire Second Circuit Court of Appeals, to actually hear the case. And that would, you don't need to have, well, that's a little complicated because there's many of them, and you don't actually need unanimity to affirm a decision below. So let me just say this differently. Donald Trump is likely to ask for an en banc review that will slow things down. Now, will the Second Circuit Full Circuit Court grant it? Who knows? And if he loses at that level, which he is likely to do, he will then ask the United States Supreme Court to hear this case. I am doubtful that they will, but nevertheless, we don't need to get into that now. Donald Trump gets to hold on yet for another day, meaning that the bond will not get paid out. The money will not get paid out to E. Jean Carroll yet. Now, let's speak specifically about what went down in this decision. Okay, and I am going to show you this. So this is the first page of the decision, and it reminds us that there had been a 9-day trial, and then a jury found that E. Jean Carroll had showed, I'm going to pull this up for a second. They had found that E. Jean Carroll had showed that she had been sexually abused in the Bergdorf Goodman department store in Manhattan in 1996 by Donald Trump. Now, the jury also found that Donald Trump defamed her in statements he made in 2022. And as we noted, the jury awarded Carroll a total of $65 million in compensatory and punitive damages. Yes, this was what this judge said, the equivalent of rape. Yes, E. Jean Carroll's lawyers proved that Donald Trump had raped her in that Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. Now, under New York law, as the judge has made clear, even though the jury did not conclude that it had been rape under New York law, the definition of sexual abuse in this case encompasses activity that we would all consider to be rape, which in this case was digital penetration by force against her will. I'm sorry, but those are the facts. Now, what else did the court say? The court said what I just told you, that Donald Trump appeals, contending that the district court, meaning Lewis Kaplan, had erred in several of his evidentiary findings. And this is what Donald Trump was complaining about. It was his decisions to admit the testimony of 2 women, that is Leeds and Stornoff, so Jessica Leeds and Natalia Stornoff, who alleged that Donald Trump had sexually assaulted them in the past. Also, the third thing that he thought was an error was when Kaplan admitted a recording of part of the 2005 conversation. This is the Hollywood Access tape, you guys. Conversation in which Mr. Trump described to another man how he kissed and grabbed women without first obtaining their consent. Basically, because that was admitted, Donald Trump contends that he is entitled to a new trial. Bottom line, the court said, this is the intro, on review for abuse of discretion, we conclude that Mr. Trump has not demonstrated that Kaplan erred in any of the challenge rulings. Further, Donald Trump has not carried his burden to show that any claimed error or combination of these claimed errors affected his substantial rights as required to warrant a new trial. Now, I want to have you note, getting into the weeds here on page 3, this is 77 pages. I promise you we are not going through all of them. The court made this decision per curiam. Per curiam means it's not signed. It is essentially a decision of the court. It's unanimous, the 3 judges. You also see that E. Jean's lawyer is Roberta Kaplan, amazing. And Donald Trump's lawyer is John Sauer, who is, of course, I believe, if I recall correctly, his nominee to be, I'm thinking, Solicitor General, if I remember correctly. Now, what's really important here is that, hold on one second, you'll see again, before they get into the background, again, there's a second, after there's a quick introduction, there's a second introduction where again they say that he is not entitled to a new trial. And then we jump to the final page where again, you can see that Donald Trump, they make it very clear he is not entitled to a new trial. Now, the reason why, basically, and I just want to show you this, I've got the full decision here, and I am going to remove this right now. I'm sorry. Here we go. I have the full decision here, all 77 pages. And let me just I'm going to go to like page 50 here for you guys. I'm sorry, not 50. I'm going to the stuff he objects to. You can see right here in the decision, they go through the Hollywood Access case, the fact the judge allowed the recording in, and they have the language of that tape. Not only that, what's incredible here, I want to read this to you. At Donald Trump's deposition, Robbie Kaplan asked him this, and then I'm going to leave this topic. Robbie Kaplan said, and you say, and again, this has become very famous in this video, I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. Then Robbie says, that's what you said, correct? Answer, well, historically, that's true with stars. Question, true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy? Answer, well, that's what. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely too. Unfortunately or fortunately. Question, and you consider yourself to be a star? Answer, I think you can say that, yeah. Okay, so, that's part of the record. That is what the Second Circuit put in here. And again, Eugene won in a way because the court rejected his demand for a new trial. Again, he will probably appeal it or ask for a full Second Circuit ruling. And then if he loses there, he'll probably ask the U.S. Supreme Court to take this case. Now, I don't think they will take this one. They may, however, the other case that was brought first, right, the one that was brought before the New York statute had been amended to allow civil actions for sexual assault, even beyond, even in the past, right, changed the statute of limitations and created a 1-year window to do that in New York. So remember, the very first case was brought before that. The very first case was based on Donald Trump defaming E. Jean Carroll while he was a sitting president. That very first case was tried second. However, once they had this sexual assault verdict in hand. It was tried second because of Donald Trump's delays. And ultimately, I think it's possible that in light of the Supreme Court's immunity ruling, they may take that one up on appeal. We shall see. But I will tell you, I would be shocked, even if this United States Supreme Court does anything with this decision. Will there be delays? Yes. The delays will go on and on. Remember, he defamed her in 2022, according to the jury. He assaulted her, sexually abused her, the equivalent of rape, in 1996. The question is, we're about to be in 2025. When will this case be over? I don't know. But I am proud of my friend E. Jean Carroll and in awe of Robbie Kaplan, her lawyer, who not only has represented her, but also brought the lawsuit against the neo-Nazis in Charlottesville on behalf of various organizations and won in that case. So I will say good for them. That is some excellent news. Now, I would like to pivot to something equally good, but in a different vein. It's about Jimmy Carter again, and I want to pay yet another tribute to him. Not every day. I won't do this every day while the flag is at half-mast, but I want to add something which I thought was incredibly sweet. So I'm going to share this one with you. I got a few things. This is something apparently that Terry Gross of Fresh Air asked Jimmy Carter when he was on her radio show. Terry Gross, I'm going to ask you for a little lesson in etiquette. Do I call you President Carter, Mr. President, or our former president, Jimmy Carter? And Jimmy Carter responded, one of the nice things about our country is that you can call me anything you want to. I love that man. Amazing. Okay, I've got more. Jimmy, another clip that has been going around social media is Jimmy Carter on an airplane. I don't know if he was flying, comfort class, first class, or in the sort of general passenger area, but let's take a look. The point is he's flying commercial after he was no longer president. Okay, let's play it. What do you notice?
Although you're more than welcome to use those devices for the entire flight, as long as they do stay in the airplane mode. Before the aircraft moves today, everyone must be seated, seatbelt fastened, tray tables, carry-on items loaded, and
You hear that woman say, I love you, Jimmy Carter? He is walking up and down the aisle of that airplane, or in this case, just down before he returns, with a Secret Service agent behind him, shaking everyone's hand if they wanted to shake his hand. I mean, it's sweet. It's recognizing that his office that he held, the presidency, is important. Not that people would want to greet him, want to connect with him. And at the same time, the fact that he is on a commercial flight and shaking everyone's hand shows that he doesn't have the hugest ego in the world. What a sweetheart. Now, in case you wanted to just draw a comparison, this is Donald Trump. In between, so this is Donald Trump when he was an ex-president. How was he traveling around? He was traveling around on an airplane made to look like he was still president. And you know whose airplane that was? It was Jeff Epstein's Lolita Express plane, so to speak, that he was using. Here we go. There's Donald Trump, Republican nominee, right? He's the former president. Donald Trump appears outside in what he calls Trump Force One. This was 2023. After his famed plane had mechanical difficulties over the weekend, he used a plane once owned by Jeffrey Epstein to travel to campaign events. Yeah, you can draw the contrast. Very, very different. Okay, so thank you again, Jimmy Carter. Now, we've got other stuff going on, and I know that obviously you would think that my person of the day today is E. Jean Carroll, and E. Jean Carroll, or you would think my person of the day is Jimmy Carter. But I have a different person of the day. which is the fabulous TikToker and sort of Democratic supporter, Kenny. You've seen him before on the show. He goes by the handle of Too Raw, Too Real. He's a sweetheart. I met him at the DNC. And the reason why Kenny is our person of the day is because I want to say this is Kenny who did this one. Let me just see. Yep, it's Kenny on this one because he took down Lindy Li. You remember her from before? She was, unlike Kenny and people like me who were just huge fans of Kamala Harris and have been longtime supporters of the Democratic Party, Lindy Li kind of came out of nowhere, kind of Silicon Valley, got very involved in the Women for Harris group, which is sort of unofficial groups of women who supported the campaign, found herself on national television as an unofficial surrogate because she was throwing so much money at the campaign. And the minute Joe Biden lost, she turned coats and became huge huge supporter of Donald Trump. It was like, I don't know, less than 24 hours. And so I want to share with you this fabulous TikTok takedown. Here we go.
When I said there was a stench of loser hanging over the Democratic Party, you know what they called me? The W word, the C word. I lost tens of thousands of followers because I dared to tell the truth. Because in a cult, you can't tell the truth. You can't ask any questions. But I'm done with that.
Lindy Li, let me lend you some advice because you're about to lose way more than fucking followers. You're about to lose citizenship because you said it yourself that you're a naturalized citizen. What is Donald Trump planning on doing in this administration? Denaturalization. Okay, so you're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship. Then you're going to sit up there and tell a pack of lies that somebody called you a whore. Add A in front of it because that's what you are, an attention whore. They also called you the C word. The C word means clout chaser because it has to be that you're out for clout. If you're going to go on Fox News, the same Fox News that spread misinformation on COVID and perpetuated anti-Asian sentiment during the pandemic. You tweeted, "This is President Biden condemns hatred against Asian Americans, and my heart wept in relief. To haters, stop telling us to go back to our country. Our country is America, and we belong here too. We love this country so damn much." Are you forgetting who perpetuated that hate by calling it the Chinese virus? Lindy Li, we need to add E to the end of your name for lie, because that's what the fuck you're doing. Then you want to sit up here and say that men are men and women are women. So you think you're going to scapegoat the LGBT community.
But he's totally right. And I'm probably going to get canceled again for what I'm about to say. Men are men and women are women. And it's an issue when men are trouncing women in women's sports.
What the fuck is she talking about? Trans people aren't even an issue when they only make up 1.6% of the human population. And of that population, even less play sports. Only 34 trans athletes have openly competed in U.S. college campuses to date, and fewer even make it to a professional level. In history, there had only been 2 trans women in the world to compete in the Olympics. Didn't you just say this last year? Guns are not the leading cause of death in kids in the United States, not drag queens, not the diet of Anne Flake, not AP African American Studies or gay minorities. So are you lying now or were you lying then? You said nobody likes VP Harris, but last year, today's my birthday. I was so honored to be invited to VP Kamala Harris's holiday party and vice president residence. It doesn't matter what the haters say. We all know the truth. Kamala is the best, hands down, and we love her fiercely. Lindy Li be lying, honey.
We care about bread and butter issues. We care about putting food on the table, sending our kids to school, strong borders, not having millions of people rush through the border. And I'm a naturalized immigrant myself. So
it's interesting that you say that immigration and the border was a big issue in this election, but you also tweeted this. The Biden-Harris administration offered a $14 billion border security bill, which they did. Trump and GOP rejected it and destroyed it, which they did. You also said this. He wants migrants to overrun the border and make Harris look bad. He wants to scare the shit out of Americans to return himself to power, which he successfully did. And you're on Fox News right now perpetuating anti-immigrant sentiment while simultaneously being a naturalized citizen. But it's more than just a tweet because I got you on candid camera, sis.
And she went down to the border just this past week to signify her support for increased border security. And I do want to remind our viewers, the reason why we still have a problem is because Trump intentionally torpedoed the bipartisan border deal. We could have had a deal. We could have, but he wanted the border as a campaign issue, and that's why we are here today.
Let me just end the video with this. Lindy Li is the very reason why black people do not want to be lumped up with people of color, because we understand that when shit hits the fan, you guys do not stand with us hand in hand. In fact, you run to the arms of white supremacists and you find safety in supremacy. You think that scapegoating the LGBT and the black community, that somehow the white supremacists won't be so keen focused on you. Well, baby, let me tell you this. They can walk at you bubblegum at the same damn time. And Lindy, you're so selfish, self-centered, and and cynical that you don't even see that you're about to hurt your own community. This is exactly what happened when white supremacists used the Asians to go after affirmative action, and then you guys were denied college admission. See, this is the problem. Y'all think that y'all are going to hurt black people, and in fact, you're only cutting your nose to spite your own fucking face.
Okay, no one's better than Kenny. And again, sweetheart in person, totally chill vibe. This is, he doesn't have a script. He's brilliant, he is gifted, and he can get right at it. Now, I know folks wonder, and I wonder, was she lying then? Is she lying now? Or an alternative, is it just entirely whatever script she wants to read because she's auditioning for a part of, wants to be on television news, wants to get attention, and will just say whatever? The other possibility is she actually is a Democratic supporter and now she's being a spy. I don't know. I don't care beyond the fact that I will say, be careful who you trust. And this is one of the problems with money in politics. It's one of the problems of us needing to kind of, trust each other and bring new people into campaigns. I guess it's inevitable. So glad Kenny is calling her out. Now, it is time for Today I Learned. Today I learned, and did not know, that Stephen Bannon has had a long time distaste, shall I say hatred, for Elon Musk. And so what is happening right now, this sort of what people call the civil war between MAGA on the one hand and Doge on the other. In other words, MAGA, the branch of white supremacist, anti-immigrant MAGA, having issues with Doge, the, Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, so-called Department of Government Efficiency, right? The difference between the populist, anti-immigrant, so-called pretending to be working man MAGA versus the elitist, I just want my fucking tax cuts, MAGA or Doge. Okay, that civil war, is it a civil war or is it just a fault line that's always been being covered up? I don't know. But the bottom line is I didn't realize how much Bannon disliked Musk. And I want to share this with you because this is from 2023, a year ago. And again, I find it painful to share videos of people who I dislike saying it's sometimes good things and sometimes incredibly terrible things, right? So Steve Bannon has very awful things to say about Elon Musk here, some of which I agree with, but the part when he calls him a globalist with all of the anti-Semitic overtones, his hatred toward China beyond his unhappiness with the Chinese government is not just unfortunate, but something I clearly don't endorse. But I want to share with you what this is, because this is going to be an undercurrent of what happens in the next administration. Here we go.
Capitalism, Elon Musk, and by the way, when we cut him off, he went begging the CCP, and that's why they have the joint venture in Shanghai, the Tesla, which is 100% of his value, right? This guy lives on government contracts and taxpayer subsidies, okay? It's all, we're going to get Joe Allen in here for a second to transform it. Elon Musk, once again, brother, I'm smart enough to tell you no to your face, and I'm evil enough to be able to expose you as a running dog for the greatest enemy this nation's ever had. You're a war profiteer. You're sleeping with the enemy, brother, and you've been doing it because you're not an American nationalist. You're not even an American. All you are is a globalist, okay? A globalist. And you will go where anybody writes you a check, and you would take it from Adolf Hitler himself because you're taking it from people that are as bad as Adolf Hitler. The murderous regime of the Chinese Communist Party, which you praised on their 100th anniversary. Let me bring.
Okay, so besides, there's so much to say here, but being the English major and someone who studied Mandarin Chinese and a little bit of Chinese history, I find it unfortunate that, among other things, that Steve Bannon referred to Elon Musk as a running dog for the CCP, because that's a truly mixed metaphor. If you know anything about the expression running dog, Mao Zedong used the term imperialist running dog, or digua, to describe, excuse my tones, describe people in China during the communist era who were counter-revolutionary, so-called imperialist forces. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out how, if he's saying that, maybe it works, that Elon Musk is a running dog for the CCP, for the Chinese Communist Party. Is it that Bannon is recognizing that China is no longer really a communist party, but is imperialistic, capitalist, counter-revolution? Listen, it doesn't fully work for me, but today I learned this is a long-standing hatred. Now, speaking of either misstating or mispronouncing words, I've got something interesting here, which is this same battle that is kind of bubbling up, pitting the anti-immigrant faction of MAGA with the give me my tax cuts faction of MAGA. Or let me say differently, the anti-Elon faction versus the Elon faction. We had on Fox News someone who is, her name is Batya Ungar-Sargon. She is someone who, I think she's like she's an opinion editor at Newsweek magazine. And she was, criticizing Elon for having no good feelings, no empathy for the working class. And I want you to listen to what she has to say, and then I'm just going to pull out one mispronunciation that's driving me absolutely crazy, which should not take away from what she has to say, but I'm me. And by the way, I appreciate when people correct me, whether it's here in the live chat or if you're watching this on replay. If I misstate something, if I mispronounce, if I say something entirely wrong, just tell me so I don't do it again. Okay, let's play this.
Less than you. What happened to noblesse oblige? Elon Musk, you are the richest man in the world.
Okay, I had to stop it there. What happened, my friend? What happened? It should be to noblesse oblige. Why would you call it oblige? What is it? Obladi, oblada, life goes on? That whole Beatles song? No, it's noblesse oblige. Okay, here we go.
You can't have a little bit of respect for the country and the people in it and the working class of the nation that gave you that privilege?
Yeah, so this is playing out. The significance here is somehow this is playing out on Fox News. So all I can think of is the forces that really want lots of immigrants to be deported are ginning up this hatred toward Elon Musk. I'm not entirely sure, or this is some kind of distraction because Donald Trump will not be able to actually get his agenda through. I'm not sure what is going on here, because I find it confusing that you find people on Fox News suddenly caring about the working class when they are entirely like anti-union, when they want to extend the tax cuts for the super wealthy billionaires and 100 millionaires and corporations, that they're suddenly caring apparently about the American worker. I am confused. But on to our next topic before we get to Crazy Town. And that is my friends, our double helping of Crazy Town. That is, my friends, what is about to happen this week, right? As you know, today is December 31st, right? That means, and today's only Tuesday, if I do the math right, which I think I am, this Friday is January 3rd, right? And so if it's January 3rd, that is the day when the new Congress gets sworn in. And in a perfect world, the new Speaker of the House is elected. Now, I know it can take a lot of time sometimes. So what's happening now is the whole let's puff up Speaker Johnson, right? Or let's trash him. So you're going to be hearing a lot about him here. Now, one of my favorite things that we've heard about Speaker Johnson is this. I think this is super funny and shocking. This is a Representative Burchett, a Republican, talking about why he likes Mike Johnson, why Mike Johnson has his support. I think you're going to enjoy this.
And a good friend of me, and there's nobody more honest that I've ever dealt with in Washington. I mean, he is a fine Christian man. He's not a religious man. He's a Christian man, and he doesn't cheat on his wife. And I find that very appealing in Washington, D.C.
That's good. So let's look.
I mean, even the host was uncomfortable. Like, okay, so a couple things. Are you trying to imply that you're ready to spill the tea? He thinks it's comforting in Washington that Mike Johnson doesn't cheat on his wife. And I just have so much to say about that. Also, the fact that someone is faithful to their wife as a qualification for leadership invites the question of what the hell he thinks of Donald Trump, who not only cheated on his many wives over the years, but did so on his current wife, who was the First Lady of the United States, when she was pregnant, and then later when she had a young child at home. Maybe he does not remember. Now, I am not someone who believes that marital fidelity is any of my business, and people have all kinds of consensual relationships. And the reality here is I care more about the hypocrisy, and also I care about whether people can actually do their jobs. So the reason that this guy thinks he's qualified is because he's Christian, but not too religious, and has not cheated on his wife. I think there should be a different series of questions that we consider at a job interview, but call me crazy. Now, there is another thing is we have another Republican rep, Van Drew, who is loyal until he isn't. Let's listen to this one.
The speaker.
I am supporting the speaker. And let me say, if, I hear from President Trump, who I do speak with relatively regularly, and I have a relationship with him to the contrary, that would change my mind. Let me say this. I'm a very independent person, so I get it. I get it. Members of Congress want to express their individual viewpoint. We're a co-equal branch of government, et cetera, et cetera. But there was a mandate from the people of the United States of America in both the popular vote and the electoral vote to make change. Now,
okay, that's interesting. Like, I'm really independent, but if Donald Trump tells me what to do, I will do that. That's really very cool. Now, I told you that I had just one more thing until Crazy Town. But actually, I have one other more thing before Crazy Town, which is follows. You might remember I think, how could you forget the whole Pizza Gate scandal, right? Do you all remember that? Where this crazy right-wing conspiracy theorist, I think his name is pronounced Prosbiak, Jack Prosbiak, invented that somehow the Democrats were running a child sex ring out of the basement of a place called Comet Pizza in Washington, D.C. It's absolutely crazy, unfounded, and just kind of weird. And I don't even know what to say beyond that, but he's still out there. And it's, again, a strange world when you have Jack Prosbiak complaining about being kicked off Twitter, or people being kicked off Twitter. And as far as I'm concerned, these people shouldn't have been on it. So let me just share that with you to show you how far and wide the attack on Elon Musk has been. Let me just pull that one up. And I think this is nearly at the level of Crazy Town, but not quite. So that's why I'm sharing it with you before we get to Crazy Town. Here we go.
There's some standard, if there's some terms of service that someone violated, spell it out. What was it? What did Laura Loomer violate? What did Gavin Wax violate? What did Owen Schroyer violate? Explain it to us, show us the evidence, and let's see the receipts. Because right now, it looks that all that got violated was that they had a disagreement with the most powerful user on the platform. And optics on that aren't exactly free speech.
First of all, it's a private platform, so the freedom of speech under the U.S. Constitution doesn't apply. But yeah, guess what, Prosbiak? I don't care whether you have access to that platform. And not only that, now people are noticing that Elon is running the platform based on his ego, what he wants, and to try to get before Donald Trump elected so he could have power. Oh, I am shocked that there is censorship going on Twitter. Okay, so let us talk about some Crazy Town. First we get Crazy Town is this. Let me play Crazy Town. How can I even do this? We've got double helping here of Crazy Town. Okay, two parts to Crazy Town. Part one, let's play it.
The person whose name was on the ballot was Donald Trump. He won the election, and his position on H-1B visas is that he thinks it's a good program that can have some benefit. His position on illegal immigration and the crisis on that in the country generally is that it has to stop. And I don't think it is impossible for the Republican Party, led by Donald Trump, advised by Elon Musk, and supported by a bunch of other Republicans out there, it's not impossible for this group to find its way to a common ground. H-1B visa program is reformed, fraud is eliminated, we find a way to bring in the smart people, the people that help America, and then on the southern border, we find a way to close it, stop the illegal immigration crisis, stop the drug crisis, stop the crime and the criminals. We can do both at the same time.
Talk about Crazy Town. Scott Jennings is not reading the room. Now, yesterday, someone said to me, how is Donald Trump now supporting H-1B visas inconsistent with what he said in the past? Let me tell you how it's inconsistent. In the past, he said that these were unfair and these were cheating American workers. Scott Jennings, living in Crazy Town, thinks he's going to be able to thread that needle. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because Donald Trump will bow down to Elon Musk, who is pulling his strings, and he will lie to people saying that it's only a small part of immigration. What's going on here is that people are going to be demanding, rounding up tens of millions, at least 10 million undocumented people. They are pushing hard for that. And it is going to be ugly. And it's Crazy Town to think that this will not be an ongoing civil war in the Republican Party. Okay, there's more crazy. Oh, Canada, yet again, the incredible ongoing trolling about taking over Canada is almost a joke if it weren't so crazy. Let's play these.
Could the American flag be adding another star in 2025? Well, Trump's idea of making Canada great again by turning it into the 51st state is gaining some serious traction, especially from Canadian citizens. 33-year-old Ryan Hemsley told the Free Press that in Canada, quote, "You wake up and survive," he said. "There's no opportunity for growth as much as I love Canada becoming the..."
Oh, stop. Oh, stop. They found one Canadian. This is like Jacob Wall in the hipster coffee shop. Come on. Okay, there's more. This is your triple helping because it's New Year's Eve. Here is our last piece of Crazy Town. This is Kevin O'Leary, yes, of Shark Tank and I don't even want to say Donald Trump supporter fame. Here we go.
Combined, we're the richest nation on earth by every single measure. We got everything we need. We don't need anything from anybody, and nobody should mess with us.
First of all, so untrue. Also, what's with the red communist pocket square? Okay, here we go.
Strength, economic strength is power. And we should show the Chinese, don't screw with us. Don't even think about taking over Taiwan. We're combining our entities because we have together the largest markets with the most resources, and we all have the same interests in personal freedom. Canadians are basically 90% of the American DNA. They fought together in war.
Oh, 90% of the American DNA. Is he meaning this in an historical sense, or is he actually being as racist as I think he is, suggesting that Canadians are white as opposed to people from China? I don't know what's going on. Let's keep playing.
Since the beginning of time. They go to Florida all the time because they're freezing their tails off up in the Northeast. We've been doing that forever. We get it. But we don't have to give up our sovereignty to combine and tell everybody around the world, don't mess with us. That's what I want to do. And I think a lot of Canadians understand that the world's changing.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It is crazy town. Okay. Happy New Year's, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for a special look back on 2024. Thank effing God episode. Have a great night.